And when I found out about his nomination, I was thrilled beyond belief. And he's blessed us with this time to talk about the movie, which I think is an amazing movie. What'd y'all think? Amazing, huh? And to talk about some of the transitions and some of the things that he's been through, you know, since he's left the Los Angeles Film School. So, Martin, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell us first about the last 12 years.
Whoa. How many days does that do? So
it's a lot more than 2,887.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I had a great time here at the school. It was our third year, right? The school existed. And I thought I could go back to Montreal and, you know, do whatever I want. But that's not how it is. So came back, was a bit disappointed with all the union stuff that was going on, because we were so used to help one another here on many shoots, and that was the greatest part. You know, how much stuff you learn from that was amazing. And you're on a set, and then you can't even help someone with a cable because they're union and blah blah blah. So I was a bit disappointed about that, and I forgot all about it. So I decided to do my own little company with a friend of mine, and just, you know, direct our own things, and, you know, commercials, music videos, all sorts of stuff. And it was all good until, you know, the projects became more and more interesting, you know, creatively, but with less and less money. So he decided to go back to school. I decided to become an assistant editor and to go back to, you know, to some more learning experiences and meet more people and, you know, touch equipment that I haven't touched before, you know, in my basement. So yeah, started as assistant editor and assistant colorist, and learned some visual effects on the way, being in a post-production company that was doing advertising. So I was assistant editor. I was editing when they had like small budget things, and then I was learning visual effects on the side. And I was editing stuff at my place as well. So just continuing learning until, you know, you reach a point where you feel like you don't learn anymore. So you go to another place or you try something else to get to learn more. And at some point, I was in another visual effects company. I was an editor, and since I knew visual effects now, I was doing visual effects when there was no job. And Jean-Marc Vallée is a very good friend of the owner of Fake Studio, who did all the visual effects of that film and all his previous films. So Jean-Marc came and said, you know, I want to edit Café de Flore, the movie I wrote and directed and produced and everything. And Jean-Marc used to be an editor a long time ago, but then, you know, he was a bit out of touch, so he wanted someone that knew Avid well and could help him out and everything. So I became his first assistant. We clicked. So while he was shooting Café de Flore in France and in Montreal, I was receiving the footage, you know, preparing everything and assemble a first cut, an assembly, actually. And from that point on, we really, really clicked. Like, he liked some stuff, some ideas that I brought. And so, you know, I was still his assistant, but he was giving me scenes to cut. And yeah, the friendship started and the collaboration started. So, yeah, at that. And I think for Dallas, he called me and said, listen, I'm going to do this film and everything with Matthew McConaughey, blah, blah, blah. And it's a very low budget film, you know, you might get paid this and they can't give you more. And I'm like, who cares, really? I mean, if you told me, like, we got no money to pay you at all, I would have done it. You know, it's like, it was such a great opportunity. Not only opportunity, but the script was so good. And I trusted Jean-Marc with everything that he's touching is amazing. He's such a mentor and fantastic, you know, storyteller that there was no way I could say no. And yeah.
A couple of things, Martin. You just mentioned that you would have done it for free, so I want to work on that one for just a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. Two things. One is, when did you know that you wanted to be involved in motion pictures? And two, at any time, did you ever feel like, I'm wasting my time, I'm going to give up?
Yeah, I think I almost not gave up, but I was really thinking at some point when I was at Fake Studio. I was like, you know, I was happy. I learned visual effects. I did some commercials. I did some shorts and everything, but nothing great was coming in. I couldn't break through motion pictures, which was my first love. And, you know, there's a lot of job in Montreal now. Like, yeah, the Hollywood is coming to Montreal to shoot, and there's a lot of job opportunities there. But, you know, to be an editor for a American film, I don't know anyone in Montreal that does that, really. Like, yeah, I know two editors, but what a, you know, how lucky I am to have crossed path with him. I don't know what I would have done at that point. Probably try to write and direct something, but you know, it would have been a mistake, I think.
So you did collaborate with Jean-Marc on Café de Fleur.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about Café de Fleur.
I don't know if anybody saw the film, Café de Fleur? No? You should go and check it out. It's pretty good. It didn't get a very good distribution, actually, and it's a very auteur film, and it's you know, a story about it's two completely different story. One is set in Montreal in 2010. One is set in France in the late 60s. And you don't see the connection with those two stories, and somehow they connect at some point. But it's a beautiful film, very poetic, and you know, a big tribute to music too. There's a lot of good music in there. Anyways, should.
And you were the assistant editor on that?
Yeah, and on that project we worked the same way that I worked with Jean-Marc for Dallas and for Wild that I'm cutting right now. We worked each from our place. We live 15 minutes away apart, you know, walking distance. And I work in my basement. He work in his office, and we were just bouncing bins, you know, through the internet, and just sharing on the phone, you know, just talking every day about the film, the new cuts, the new scenes. And
so before Café Le Fleur, you didn't really know him, but you were introduced through the...
Well, yeah, I knew his reputation.
You knew his but you did not personally know him.
No, I didn't.
And so he kind of took a chance on you as assistant editor on this project, right?
Yeah, he met with me and with somebody else, and I got the job. But it was mainly trust. I don't think my resume was not better than the other guy. That's for sure. I don't know what clicked. I don't know why he chose me more than the other one. But
and after that experience with him, he entrusted you with being the editor of Dallas, correct?
Right. We co-edited together. I mean, me and John McMurphy. So, yeah. So
maybe you could tell everyone out there what it was like as you got the dailies and began to, you know, see the results of the production. What was going through your mind in terms of what this movie, what direction it was going and what it could become?
Well, first of all, we had no assistant. So I received the footage, and I was our own assistant. And then when I saw all these great performances, I knew we had something, that's for sure. And the script was pretty solid to start up with. And the style too, you know, there was like, we had a $4-point-something million budget. So that meant, that was the great part. I think that's the great story. One of the great stories of that film is that they didn't have much money. So what do? You have 25 days to shoot. Okay, let's take Alexa camera, which works great in, you know, low lights. So let's not use any artificial lights. And they shot everything with just practicals. And so what that means is that no lighting setups, no nothing. You shoot, you don't cut. go from a wide, okay, let's not cut, go to the close-up, go to the reverse. So that was amazing, you know. Well, I had to deal with all that footage. but apart from that, that was really, really great. You know, that new way of shooting was amazing, and Jean-Marc is not going back to anything else. Actually, his first experience with digital was on Café de Flore. He shot Montreal's story on film, and first experience digital in the France story, because they were shooting with a Down syndrome kid in Paris, and he wanted to be able to run the camera as much as possible to grab some good stuff with the kid, and he realized how much freedom that gave him. So that was his first experience with digital, and then to be limited with time and budget on Dallas was another blessing, you know, like, fine, let's shoot with no light, and it's brilliant.
So having to deal with these very long scenes was both like very exciting and very much hard work too, right?
Right.
You had to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, but you know, you organize yourself and you find ways and you get to know your footage. And the great part is too that he kept on shooting anything he could, and there's so many scenes in that film that was not on the page, and that we completely invented from something that we didn't use, or from a scene that was completely cut. You know, like I just came through like 10 minutes before the film ended, but I remember, you know, when Eve is receiving the call from the lawyer saying he lost. That's from a completely other scene that we cut. You know, like she was actually talking to Ron on something else. You know, that shot where Matthew is coming back from you know, on the plane. That's a composite shot. You know, and that was him. What we see of him, he was shot like that in the courtroom. We took him out of the courtroom, put it in the plane, you know, just because we wanted that shot. We needed that shot to make that journey back home and to see how disappointed he was, how, you know, sad. So there's so many scenes like that in the film, and that's the great part when you get to know your footage. When you decide to cut some scenes, you need to remember they're not completely deleted forever. You know, you can go back and take something out of that.
Movie magic, and the editor really is the final screenwriter, isn't he?
Well, especially when you work with Jean-Marc, who's an amazing storyteller. He taught me to never, you know, to always question yourself. You know, he's never too close to his material. You know, I don't think you can say that from any director who decides to cut their own film, which is dangerous, right?
Yes.
You know, he's never like, oh no, but this shot needs to be in, or this scene needs to be in. He's never ever like that. He always questions, you know, what we've done. So,
Matthew McConaughey was always thought of as being like a kind of a boy toy kind of an actor, right? I mean, we all know him from a lot of romantic comedies and things, but it seems like his career has taken an immediate about face, because his recent work has been pretty astonishing, and winning Best Actor, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and a SAG Award for Best Actor. What did you think when you were going to be cutting a movie with Matthew McConaughey? And what did you think when you actually saw the footage of what he was doing?
Well, we were a bit scared. Jean-Marc too told me he was slightly scared. But when he met him, he saw the determination that Matthew wanted to put into the film. So he said, all right, man, I trust you. He really saw something in him, and he's like, okay, let's do it. And then when they did it, of course, it was beautiful. But still, he's a very, very intense actor. And he gave us a wide range of emotion. You know, we could do a scene, and you would be like super intense. And Jean-Marc at some point would say, "Okay, let's try it less." And you know, Jean-Marc is a very less is more kind of person. You know, so to see Matthew at first was a bit of a shock. You know, so he was like, "Okay, how am I gonna deal with this creature, you know. And the character of Ron Woodruff is already big in itself, you know. He's like bigger than nature, and he's so Jean-Marc took he thought, okay, this guy takes a lot of space. Let's move away with the camera. Let's not go too close. You know, let's. I'm gonna leave him breathe and take the space, and so that's what he did. So yes, of course there is some close-ups, but we try to stay wide and we try to let the scene, you know, walk itself through, and so. Yeah.
Well, I like what you just said, because the thing that I really love about the movie is it's not melodramatic. I mean, it seems like the subject matter and it seems like the images and maybe even the ideology could go way out of control, but the movie always seems to know kind of its own barometric pressure, even in terms of the lighting and even in terms of the shot selection and even in terms of the music. That it always seems controlled. So I guess this is not a question, but rather it's an observation, and that is we have this movie which is about this very intense issue, and it takes place in Texas, in Dallas, which is a very kind of, we have a certain stereotypical images of what that is, and it's got this kind of rodeo kind of mentality, and yet a Frenchman is directing it. But it seems so amazingly authentic, don't you all think? How does that work?
Well, I think he was first surrounded by a great team, and also, I mean, he did his research. He trusted Matthew a lot too, because Matthew knows, if you know something, it's about Texas, right?
How to be a redneck?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he trusted him on that, and so if there was anything that you know looked weird or whatever, I think Matthew would have told him. But yeah, I think his team was just great, and very, very small team. Again, like if you have no lighting, you might have like a lighting crew standing by, but you know, but yeah, I don't know how they pulled it off, but it works, I think.
I mean, it's an amazing movie in all ways, and I've seen it a couple of times now. And when I first saw it, I wasn't aware of the fact that there was no stage lighting used. I mean, I'm not a fan of dark lighting. I mean, some of my students would know that I like to see the movie because I think the story occurs in the performances and the story occurs in the subtext of a film. And when it's dark and when it's overly contrasty or it's over the top in terms of cinematic style, I think it's a distraction. But to this was never a distraction to me at all. It always seems authentic and real, and I was always aware of where I was and how it was.
Yeah, well, they really wanted to go with the natural look too, you know, and the look documentary style, and the production designer, you know, was pretty much Yves Bélanger's grip, you know, if you will, like he was helping him with the lighting, basically, and so yeah, that's an interesting new way of doing things.
Okay. We're going to get some questions, but I want to go over a couple things with you first, and that is you were a student here in 2002, and Martin and I we've been together a couple of times since he's been in Hollywood here, and you talked about going to see the editing presentation, the ACE presentation at the Egyptian Theater that they do before the Academy Awards.
Right.
And you went to the one in 2002, right?
Right.
Tell them about your experience as a student going to see this presentation.
Well, yeah, in 2002, I think it was like maybe the fifth year they were doing that. So, you know, the queue wasn't so long and it was kind of easy to go in. And it was just great to see these great editors, you know, talking about their craft and everything, and now I come back 12 years later and I'm sitting on the opposite side was quite something, really, and it became so much bigger, you know, like people were queuing up since 6:30 in the morning and it was at 10:30. I was like, man, it's insane, but it was great. Even, you know, yes, I was on the stage, but I learned so much from the other guys too, and we got to talk before, after. I met with them even this week, and it's amazing. That was my biggest highlight of the Oscar weekend.
And how did you feel inside up there on the stage?
Well, at first I was, I think I shouldn't be here, man. These guys are like, they've been in the business for a while now. They know what they're doing, but they were so nice, and they made me feel so comfortable, and they respected what we did with the film. They asked a lot of questions, so I think everyone has a different background, and everyone has a different experience in what they did. So it doesn't necessarily depend on time. Like, yes, I only did 3 films, but I think I got a lot to talk about, and so do they.
Okay. The last thing I want to ask you before we get questions from the audience is, when did the Oscar buzz start? And what was it like when they began to make the announcements of the nominations?
Well, I was cutting Wild, that I'm still cutting right now with Reese Witherspoon. And it's always very intense when you edit with Jean-Marc. So, even though we're working from our place, the day starts early and it ends late. And so I kind of forgot that there was the nomination things, and I never thought we would get nominated. I thought probably Matthew and Jared for sure. And then so my mom called me in the morning, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm late to work, but I was watching TV, and they said that you had 4 nominations, including Best Film." I'm like, "This is amazing. This is," I was very, very happy. Best Film was amazing. And she's like, "Okay, I'm late. I'm leaving." I'm like, okay, so I'm calling Jean-Marc, and Jean-Marc is a very early bird normally, so it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, never gonna wake him up. And he's like, "What?" "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm waking you up, man?" He's like, yeah, my son had a car problem in the middle of the night, blah, blah, blah. It's winter. Well, winter in Montreal, it's hard. And he's like, "Yeah, so what? Do we have any nominations?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, we got 4, including Best Picture." He's like, "Oh, that's great." He's like, wait. I just received a text. We got Best Editing too." I'm like, "Come on, man." He's like, "Yeah, man, check your things, like, we got Best Editing." I'm like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So I checked. I didn't even have time to check, because my assistant was like, 2 feet away, and she's like, "You're nominated, man, for an Oscar." I'm like, "This is crazy." So I called back my mom. I'm like, "You should have stayed longer in front of your TV."
Great stuff. Do we have any questions from the audience? If so, we'd like you to go up to the microphone and ask the question here.
Spotlight.
How you doing? Great job. Very lovely film.
Thank you.
You could tell that a lot went into it. When it comes to systems, what's your preference? Did you cut on Avid on this one?
Yeah.
And do you prefer Avid? Do you Final Cut, Final Cut X, anything
Avid,
else?
man. I'm Avid
There you
all the way. I've tried all the other
Right.
editing platforms, and sometimes I need to cut on Final Cut for, commercials or whatever.
Right.
But, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, it was a great job. I do dabble a little bit myself. I do, the same thing you did, because I always say you have to wear many hats before one finally fits. Looks like you found your hat. You edit now.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit of everything. I'm cutting a film right now myself. It's my own film. Usually it's a no situation. Don't cut your own film, but budgetary constraints, and I enjoy it. And I'm not too picky about the shot, so I'm like, I know what works.
Well, you learn from any experience, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
Editing is a great experience to know from everything, from directing to acting to sound to visual effects. You need to touch everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much. Great
You're
film.
welcome.
Great. Okay, we've got another question here. That was Chaz, by the way, and this is Nathan, right?
Yep, that's me. Hi.
Hi.
Since the director knew you and trusted you and all that, as far as the final cut with the Dallas Buyers Club, how much leeway did he give you as far as like being creative?
He gave me everything I wanted. But you know, we were co-editing. You know, he's not the director who's pointing the finger at the screen. You know, he has his own station. So we were bouncing ideas back and forth. Actually, we started the film. He edited the first 15 pages. I did the next 15, and so on. And then afterwards, we looked at that first edit together. And then I went to all his scenes that he's worked on, and vice versa. So we exchanged scenes. So we got to touch the whole film together. And towards the end, you know, after many screenings, we were saying, okay, well, try to do that, I'll do that. You know, we're going through the list of notes we've made, and yeah, it was great.
All right, fantastic, thank you.
Another question. You got to, well, we won't make you walk. Here.
Oh, thank you.
What a gentleman.
What was the biggest thing that brought you to the LA Film School, and as you're looking at it today, has it changed in a better, more progressive way, or, you know, what's your biggest thing that drew you here and made you even want to come here today?
Well, I was actually very lucky because at the time I wanted to go to Concordia University in Montreal, and it's very small program. They accept only 50 people, and so they didn't accept me that year. And I was about
Yay.
I was about to go to France to try another school, and my aunt calls me, Danielle Suissa, who used to be the dean of this school back in the days. And she calls me and she's like, where are you going? Just come here, you know, we're starting this new school, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's 3 years old, but it's already great. And so, you know, she sold it to me. I got to live at her place. And so I was lucky for that. And I don't regret it at all. Like I would, you know, yes, there's other great school, I'm sure, but this was already a great school to me, even though it wasn't already, you know, all perfect like it seems to be right now. It's amazing. Like, I haven't seen the school in 12 years, and I come back, and it's so different. I'm very proud of Joe and his team. But, yeah, I would suggest it to anyone who wants to go in film to come here. And, you know, any path takes you to where you want to go, I guess, but when you get this chance to come to a place where the teachers are really, you know, inspiring, and they give you all that stuff. They give you a laptop, man. It's crazy. And I saw the rooms you work in and everything, and it's wonderful. You can just go wild here, and you should. Like, we had 1 year. It was an intensive year, and they told us, you know, you can go to this class, or you can do all of them. So I'm like, well, it's not going to pay more anyways, so let's do all of them. And I think it was wonderful for that. And you need to touch every field, every job needs to be respected, and you need to try them all, I think.
This theater hasn't changed much, has it?
No, what? Sorry?
This theater hasn't changed much,
No,
has it?
no.
So bring back good memories?
Great memories, yeah.
Okay, we have another question at the mic.
Hello. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. It's really an honor.
Pleasure.
I have a question for you about your next film that you mentioned, Wild. That is also with Jean-Marc Vallée.
Ouais, Jean-Marc Vallée, that's right.
He seems to be a real actor's director. You talked about how he brought out such a great performance in Matthew McConaughey. And I was curious because I feel like Reese Witherspoon has also had some kind of uneven performances. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on what's going to happen with her. Is he going to be another star maker in a bigger way with Reese Witherspoon? And also, with your experience having worked on this other film, Dallas Buyers Club, is there anything that you think you would like to try differently, or, you know, I'm just curious what your approach might be on the next film as an editor.
Well, yes, expect something great from Reese. I can tell you that. she's amazing. She's really amazing, and maybe it's Jean-Marc who brings that out of them. I don't know. Probably he has an influence, but the stories he chooses are great, and the characters are great, and so. And
the editing's great.
Thank you. but yeah, I mean, she was ready. Like Matthew, she was ready to change her career, and she did it because she can, because she is good, and she's gonna prove it. So I'm sure we're gonna hear about it a lot. It's a great story. For those who don't know, maybe know, Wild is a best-selling book written by Cheryl Strayed. It's her own story. She's hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and through that you see flashbacks of her life and understand why she's doing it. So it's a crazy role for Reese, and she excels in it. As for the style, well, like I said, Jean-Marc shot it the same way he shot Dallas. There's a lot more exteriors, more budget too, but they used artificial lights once in the night scene, but it was super just like a China ball, like super far away, and that was that. But we're trying different things, not necessarily in the style, but you need to follow your story, you need to follow your characters, and that's what Jean-Marc is really great with, is we want you to be with that character, to feel what he feels and everything. Like, you don't want to lose eye contact, and that's one of the things we do most of the time, like to justify a cut is mainly through looks, It's very rarely we'll go to an insert of something that has nothing to do with the point of view of the character. If that's the character we're going to follow, let's stay with that person, So that's the style that's not changing, storytelling-wise, I would say. And what could be different in this one? The story is completely different. So, but I think you'll have a nice ride.
When is it scheduled to be released? Any dates?
In fall, somewhere in fall. I don't know when exactly.
In time for next year's Academy Awards?
Sure. Yeah. Right. Exactly. They got it all planned out, right?
Okay, we have another question. All right.
I just wanted to know how long it took to edit the film and how intense was it?
Very intense, and Jean-Marc is a very intense person, and he doesn't quit until it's done. So Dallas took something like 7 months, approximately 7, yeah. And Wild is taking as much, if not more now. And Café de Flore took more than 9 months. So, yeah, it's long. And we're 2 editors, and still it's long. So.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, but this one's not being edited in your basement, right?
This Wild,
yeah.
I edited in my basement too.
Okay. There you go.
We came here like 4 weeks ago, or 4 or 5 weeks ago, after director's cut. The studio wants you to come here, and they want you to stay close to them. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of difference in terms of like security too, right?
Oh yeah. Like this time, we couldn't have our stations, hooked up to internet, because that was a big breach to their security thing. And they're like, "So you're cutting from your place, so you have an alarm system, right?" I'm like, "Well, I have an alarm system." So I had to install that, and just to reassure them that everything was fine. It's completely crazy when you think of it, because who's gonna look for me in my basement cutting this? Like, they're gonna look to post-production houses first to see if they can breach their system, right?
I don't know. You don't have the NSA in Canada, do you?
No. It's crazy.
Okay, we have another question.
Hey there, I have a weird question. Is there like projects where you felt embarrassed to have your name on it, or you're like, I don't want to put my name on this. This doesn't seem right.
You mean my thesis that I did at the school, for instance? No, that's not true. No, like at some point you get to decide also what you're gonna work on. Sometimes you might be wrong, but who cares? You're trying to do the best job as possible, and in the end, you know, you need to be sort of happy with what you did. So I've put the hours, man, on projects that, yeah, I thought it's not going anywhere, but you know, if in the end you're fine with what you did, you know, like you know you did the best you could, then it's okay. I don't mind.
All right, cool, thanks.
You're always learning from that, and you know, I don't think anybody's gonna judge you from it, or if they do, well, that's too bad for them. They won't have the chance to work with you.
There you go.
Okay, so my question is, do you have some words of advice for new students?
Good question.
Stay in school. No. Don't do drugs. Just you know, don't sleep. Just do it all. You gotta take, you know, every moment that you have. Just do it, and don't be scared to. Sorry to say, to fuck up. And you know, it's the time to do it, and it's the best time to do it, because afterwards, you know, you're gonna go into the real world. So you know, it's the best time to meet some new collaborators, probably future collaborators, and or just good friends. And like this was one of the best years of my life. So, you know, just, yeah, do it all. And respect everyone, and respect their jobs, and respect their ideas, and challenge them, yeah. But, you know, respect them, I'd say.
Do we have any other questions? Mario and Will, did you want to... It's Mario Novoa, who is the president of our Alumni Association. He has a little announcement.
Just a quick announcement. cheerla.org is an organization here in Los Angeles that raises money for HIV and AIDS awareness. And they're doing a raffle for a 42-inch HD TV. And we have tickets. They're $5 tickets that you can buy today. And if you don't have cash, Will over there is taking cards. It goes to a really good cause. They're a nonprofit. They travel up and down California to raise money for these charities, local charities, and it's a good cause. So in going with the theme of the film tonight, I hope you buy a ticket. Thank you very much. Oh, and one other one. Next Wednesday is our 4th Wednesday mixer for the Alumni Association, so you're all welcome to come. That's going to be at 33 Taps on Hollywood and Vine. So that starts at 7 o'clock, so I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Let's give Mario a hand. He's a hardworking guy. He's done so much to bring our alumni together. I am really, really proud and happy of Martin, and I'm proud and thrilled with our school. I'm so happy that you all came here. Martin, as I said during the introduction, is our first student to have been nominated for an Academy Award. So I think this is really a momentous occasion. It's not going to be the last one. It's not going to be the last one for him either. He's pretty much there. And I think that you can see in Martin probably something that many of you who are film students in our school now or are thinking about wanting to go in the industry, I'm hoping that there's something that you see in Martin here that you feel in yourself. I mean, we all kind of start out with humble beginnings. We all have, you know, something that makes us feel alive and passionate, and so many of us kind of ignore that and go off and do something that other people tell us that they should do.
Yeah, Yeah, and I think too that we should all, be open-minded to what's the outcome of all this. Like, for instance, I never thought I would be an editor. I came here probably like most of you, believing, oh, I'm going to become a director, or screenwriter or whatever. But in the end, you might end up doing something else just because you discovered that thing is actually you. And so, yeah, just keep an open mind.
And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. It's the miracle is always going to happen tomorrow. If you walk away from it now, you'll miss it tomorrow, right?
Well said.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And let's give a great hand to Martin. And I also want to thank the staff. We've got Art, who's done the podcast recording. And we have Michael and Rudy on camera here. So thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend. And happy Easter.